Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Susie. I do lots of thrift store shopping and thrift flips. I also have a booth where I resell the items that I flip. Up to now, I have been working on fall. I've got my house decorated for fall. The booth has been reset. Things are selling fairly well in the booth. So the next step in the resale business is to get ready for Christmas. So I know it's a little bit early, but in today's video, I'm going to work on some Christmas thrift flips. I've just picked out a few items from my stash here. And other than when I did the video of the Christmas IOD release, I have not had time to play with that stuff any. So I'm gonna get that out, some inlays, some molds, and some stamps, and just get some Christmas stuff done up so I can start, transitioning into Christmas in my booth. So thank y'all for watching. I hope you enjoy this video. Let's go ahead and get started. One of my favorite things to find at the thrift store is already made up wooden signs. Very inexpensive. This one was cute, but I didn't really like the knot in it, but it was a great wooden board for a new sign. So I think I only paid a couple of dollars for it, so there's no way that I probably could have made anything any cheaper. I knew that my white paint was not going to cover those words, so I went ahead and did a base coat in black. And once that the black paint had dried, I did 2 coats of a white paint. This is just an exterior white paint that we painted the doors on the garage with. It was really the only bright white paint I had. Everything else was a creamy kind of color. So I'm going to try a paint inlay on this paint. So what you want to do with your paint inlay, if you haven't done them before, there's really no need to be afraid. You can't mess it up that bad. So you want to put a fairly thick but even layer of paint where you're going to do your inlay. While the paint is wet, you want to lay your inlay with the paint side down and the grid side up. Once you get your inlay placed where you want it, then I just take my finger and rub out all the wrinkles. You want to be sure and get all the wrinkles out, because if you don't, they will show in your paint, like as a texture kind of thing. So after I get all the wrinkles out, I'm going to wet the back of the inlay. I'm just going to spray it with like a spritzer bottle. And then I like to take a brayer and just make sure that all the paint inlay is pressed in to my wet paint really well. Then all you do is let it dry. I did kind of help this one along a little bit with a heat gun, which is not something I've ever tried before. I don't think it had an effect one way or the other. And then once it is completely dried, you want to wet your inlay again and carefully pull it off. There were a few places on this one that didn't quite come out, but if you'll notice, these ornaments are also kind of rustic looking anyway, so I think it blended in just fine. And that's all there is to a paint inlay. See, that wasn't really that scary. Next, I'm going to put the word Deck the Halls. I am using the typesetting stamps. The uppercase letters were too big for my space, so I'm going to be using lowercase letters for the Deck the, and then a capital H lowercase the rest of it, because that's the best that would fit. I put the A there for the E just to keep the space, to make sure I had enough space. And then you just want to lay all your letters down like you want them, and then use a thin mount to pick them up. I did not have any red ink yet. If I could have waited 2 more days, my red ink would have been in. So instead, today, I'm going to just be using some red paint on the stamps, and it turned out fine. I think it would have looked a little bit better with ink, but like I said, it turned out pretty good. So I'm just going to use an inexpensive foam brush to put the paint onto the stamps. You would just want to make sure that you do get the paint all over the whole surface of the letters. And then you just take the whole thing and press it onto your project. I like to take my finger and just basically write over each letter to make sure that the paint comes off on all of the letters. Carefully lift it up. And then I just took the E and the other L and pressed them on there. Once all the paint was dry, I went around the edges with a sanding block. I just wanted to rough it up some and bring some of that black underneath out. Just be sure that you don't, sand over your paint inlay until it has been sealed in. Once I got the edges distressed like I wanted, I took it outside and I did a spray sealer, like a polyacrylic, but then I brought it back in and I felt like those 2 spots just really needed a little something else. So I went ahead and decked the halls with some boughs of holly, and these are from the Christmas Valley transfer book. There's all kinds of greenery in there. So I just took a few little holly leaves and put them on there. And then I did another coat of a sealer, and this project is done. For project number 2, when I'm thrifting, I'm always looking for interesting planters. And come Christmas time, I like to stick some greenery or just some little trees in there. I wasn't crazy about the Mediterranean look of this one, so I gave it a coat, or 2 coats rather, of Dixie Belle drop cloth. Once the 2 coats of paint was dry, I went over it with a clear wax, and this is just a Waverly clear wax from Walmart. I let the wax dry completely, and then I'm going to come back with some DIY dark wax and just go over the details on the bottom. I put the clear wax on first because it sealed it in, but it also makes the dark wax easier to manipulate and wipe off if you get it too dark or get it somewhere you don't need it. But I went ahead and went all the way around this with the dark wax and then wiped it back with a paper towel, and I just love the way this planter turned out. The only Christmas tree, or the first Christmas tree that I came to stick in here was this large bottle brush tree, but I really think a traditional tree will look better in it once I really get in all my Christmas decor out. Anytime I'm thrifting for Christmas items, I'm always on the lookout for really great tins, especially plain ones like this one with the vintage little bit of rustic on it. These are perfect for putting your homemade goodies in, and they're also perfect for putting a transfer on. So I decided on these two woodland creatures for these two tins that I found, and I think the bear and the deer just really go into the whole woodland theme, and I think that they are just going to be so cute giving this tin to someone with some homemade goodies, maybe some chocolate oatmeal cookies in it. You never know. So the transfers are super easy. You just take the backing off, then you use the tool that comes with them and rub them on. Now, I forgot how easily this was going to come off on this metal, and I got in too big of a hurry, see there, and I ended up pulling a little bit of it off on the bear, but that's okay. It still looked great, and it was super easy. These are both super easy flips. With the deer, I decided it needed a little bit of greenery with it too, just to bring out that deep, deep green of the round tin, and I just love the way these turned out. They're perfect decoration too, just for sitting around, especially if you love the traditional colors. They go great with any Christmas decor. So my stash is full of frames. There are so many things you can do with frames. So I have a ton of them. So I need to start working through them. I have this really pretty gold one. It doesn't have a glass. It doesn't have a backing. And all the things have been pulled off the back already. So, and I also thrifted this little goldish color basket for 99 cents. And I loved the look of them together. And I thought some poinsettia would really pop in the basket. I'm going to be using this little bitty poinsettia stamp from the Cozy stamp set that just came out. I'm just going to put it on a little piece of drop cloth and put it on the basket. And then I'm going to hang the basket on the frame with a little bit of gold ribbon. And I did not want to cover the hanger on the back of it, so I cut it in just the right spots and hot glued it around the hanger so we could still use the hanger to hang it on the wall. The basket is very light. Hot glue held this perfectly. And then I just glued the little stamped poinsettia on the front of the basket, which could also be removed and used for a different season or something else. And then I just filled the basket with some poinsettias, and I just love how this turned out. It's so warm and cozy and inviting with the red poinsettias in it. What do you guys think about this project? Okay, so I recently got these 3 Reader's Digest books for 25 cents each at a yard sale. I love the Reader's Digest books, especially the vintage ones with the pretty colors, but these were not pretty and they were a 2000 edition. So we're going to paint them up and make a Christmas book stack with them. So this is just a Waverly chalk paint from Walmart in some kind of red. I had to do 2 coats of the red to cover the writing on the spine. I did one in a green, which was Monet's Garden from DIY, and that did only take 1 coat because the DIY paint covers so well. And then I did one in white, and I just used that same bright white exterior latex paint that I used before, and it took 2 coats of the white to cover it. Once all 3 books are painted and dried, I'm going to go over them with a clear coat. This is a Dixie Belle clear coat in matte. And I'm going to give all of them a good even coat of clear coat and let that dry. And then we're going to come in, we're going to stamp the book set with the words Merry and Bright. I'm going to be using the letterpress stamp set. I love this stamp set because they're small enough letters and there's several different fonts. So we're just going to do Merry and Bright in black ink along the spine of the books. Once I get all the stamps on, pro tip here, guys, clean your stamps immediately when you're finished with them while they're still on the thin mount with a baby wipe. It really makes cleanup so much easier. And go ahead right then and put them back on the backing so you don't lose them. I was impatient and just couldn't wait for my ink to dry to go ahead and finish this up. So I was just very careful in wrapping the twine around the books. So I just went around several times, tied it off on the top, and put a little piece of Christmas greenery on them. And that's all there is to it. These books can be used in decor. They can be used as risers. They just look so great in any Christmas decor, and I love the way these turned out. So I thought I was done, but then I remembered I haven't even done a project using the molds. Now, earlier when I said I haven't got to play with them, I lied because I forgot. I did play with the Bauble Moulds here and some resin. I'm learning how to do resin, and I'll show you guys that later on in some other videos. But these are just some of the things I've been working on, and I'll be using these to make ornaments and such. So the resin is really cool. I'll show you guys later if you don't know about that. But in today's video, we're going to be using some IOD clay. So I thrifted a couple of these silver plated trays with intentions of painting them, but I got it all cleaned up, and this one was so pretty and nice that I decided I didn't even want to paint it. So these are the Bauble Moulds, and y'all, they have so many cool details, and there is so much you can do with these. So when you're using the IOD clay, you want to dust your molds with cornstarch, and then it's so easy with the micro rim. You just push your clay into it and then go around the edges. I just use my thumb, get it flat on the back, and that's just how easy they are. And then you just kind of use gravity when you are turning them out, and they come out really easy. Not near as easily as the resin, though. I can't wait to show y'all that. When you are using clay, when you turn it out, you can pick it up and kind of push any things that are hanging out on the edge in. It's very easy to just gently tap those. And y'all, this may be a lazy move because normally I would paint these, but I love the look of the IOD clay. So I'm going to leave these just like they are. I love the white and the silver together. So all I'm going to do to finish this flip is glue each of them down. I love using this Top Bond glue because it's thin, it's easy to work with, and I just use my finger and rub it all into the back of it, and then I gently put the mold back on the piece and make sure that it is all pressed down all around the edges. You can put a hanger on the back of this tray and hang it on the wall, or you can just use it as a shelf sitter and lean it up against something. But I am in love with how these molds look on this silver tray. What do y'all think? Do you think I should have painted them? I'm doing plenty more where I am painting them, but I just really love the look of this one. Thank y'all so much for watching today's video. If you love thrift flips, I have a whole playlist here that you can enjoy, and I hope that you'll come back because I have all kinds of Christmas DIYs coming up for this season. Thank y'all so much for watching, and I appreciate you so much. See you next week.